kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
Welcome, everybody, into Sim Racing Media. Tonight, we welcome a new league to the channel. We've got Road and Plate Racing, new league to us. They are going to have their Season 3 opener here from Daytona. I'm Mike Damoni up in the booth. Joined with me tonight is Matt Metler. Matt, man, how's it going?
Mike, it couldn't be better. The nighttime is the right time for a brand new series here on SRM in prime time. I am fired up and ready to rock and roll. And one of the great things we get to do, Mike, with the new league to SRM is we have a bunch of new faces and personalities that we get to learn and watch grow over the course of the season. Is that 70 machine has went quick time here in qualifying with a 58.7.
Yeah, definitely one of the faster drivers out on track is Aaron Smith. We also have a new way they're running this. It's not going to be like all the rest of the leagues that you see that come on board here, as they are going to have this qualifying session. They will set up for what they call a sprint race. It's going to be 16 laps. From that, they will invert the top 10 finishers, come back and run the feature race of 32 laps, and that is when we are going to see some heavy action out on track.
Yeah, Mike, this is definitely a spin off the typical nighttime racing that you see here on SRM, and quite frankly, I'm fired up about it. As you mentioned, you get a little bit of that Friday night short track feel with the heat racing, then a little old school all-star action with the invert on the field. And then the series, I believe, is going to be racing on a combination of super speedways and then road courses. So a lot of new firsts for me up here in the booth, and I can't wait to see how this season unfolds.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. So they'll start off here at Daytona. Then they will go overseas for a couple races at Rutskogen and Bathurst. Then come on back to Talladega before the off week for 4th of July. So you're going to see lots of different styles of racing here real quick for this league here.
Yeah, can't wait. Fired up, ready to rock and roll here tonight. And I'm sure all of these drivers and competitors are. Looks like we have about 17 drivers that have logged in time so far as we're watching the 3-4-6 of Chuck Labano out there on the racetrack, Mike. And it looks like as it stands right now at a 50.97, that's gonna be good for P16, as we're now about 6 minutes and 30 seconds through qualifying.
Yeah, Aaron Smith still sitting at the top of the board. We got Steve Loving out here in the 27 Toyota running P17 at the moment. P18 now, as he just got bumped down from Benson Weaver here with a 52.02.
Yeah, 52.02. He's got the number one machine on that racetrack, Mike. Working the low line. That's obviously the shortest and quickest way around this racetrack. As we now go back to the 27, Steve Loving. He's probably loving that starting position right now as he's on the provisional outside front row, clocking in at a 50.89.
Yeah, and that's the other thing with the way that this series is set up. You're going to have people that might be trying to get, not caring so much about winning the sprint race, but if they don't have a shot to win the sprint race, maybe they let off a little bit, try and get that 10 spot so they can start up front. Probably won't see too much of that happen here in like Daytona because, everybody knows it's Daytona. Nothing really matters. You could start clear at the back and wind up winning the thing. But maybe at some of the road courses, that might be a strategy play we see play out.
I didn't even think of that, Mike, but now that you mention it, for sure, and I bet that does come into play when we arrive overseas to start the road course portion of the season. Looks like Chuck back out on the racetrack in that 3-4-6, really digging the paint scheme on that Toyota Tundra. Mike, their marketing slogan is "Let's go places," and let's see if Chuck can go up the leaderboard here as he's currently clocking in 18th. Coming to the 3-4 complex right now. Got a really good line there, nice and steady on the steering wheel. Excuse me, he was coming out of the 1 and 2 complex as he fires down the backstretch, working just a few inches off that double yellow line. That guy knows how to hold a pretty wheel. Now he enters the 3-4. Gonna wash up the racetrack a little bit now as we go on board, looking out the nose. He's ready to complete his lap here, coming to the start-finish line through the Geico restart zone, and let's see where he clocks in. Survey says, he's going to pick up a little bit, but not enough. Mike, it looks like that's going to be good for P18 as it sits right now.
Yeah, it looks like he's got his 2 laps in now. Now he's just driving around. Looks like we have 4 drivers that have yet to take a qualifying run. We got about 20 seconds left, so nobody's going to be able to finish a qualifying lap here, so everybody's pretty well set with where they're going to be. Chuck's still out there just logging laps, getting used to the truck. I mean, we did just have a updated damage model and all of that in the truck, so definitely look forward to seeing how these guys handle that on this super speedway here, as they are getting ready to grid up for the race. Let's see if we can Get these guys on board here.
Check out that pace car, Mike. Not one we typically see here up in the booth. I think that's a little indicative of the road course trip we're about to take after we finish up here at the World Center of Racing.
Looks like most of them are pretty close to getting in. So Austin Smith in that 700 Chevy is going to start on the pole with a 50.865. Steve Loving in second. Mark Royce and Brian Malter, right? Molitor. We'll get these guys' names right as we go on through the season. Michael Grudger, Robert Bropst. Then we go to Peter Stewart, Laura Wiseman in row 4, row 5. Evan Hubashak and Benson Weaver make up that top 10.
Rolling off here, P11 is going to be Devin Jack in the 49 ride from across the border in Canada. I'm from Niagara Falls, New York, so I grew up right there. My hop, skip, and a jump from Canada. And starting in P12, it's going to be Dustin Bawley in the 24 machine. 13th is going to belong to Chris Winslow in the 45 ride, while outside he's going to share that 14th place starting position with the 888 machine. Thank him for your pick 3 lottery numbers this evening. That's going to be Phil Keck. Rounding out your top 15, Johnny Rapp, the one name I do know so far here in the series. Coming in 16th, that's going to be Nick Sarf from New Jersey. Rolling off 17th, Dan Otten. That is Asphalt Motorsports. I love the spelling on that. Very nice. Rolling off 18th, Chuck Lobato in the 346 machine. Brandon Brush, 19th. And rounding out your top 20 is going to be Jay Beast. And on to the final row tonight. The 21st is going to be Tom Wendt. And starting shotgun on the field in position 20, in 22nd position. I'm going to butcher this one, Mike. I believe that's Derek Fickett.
We'll figure it out as we go, but that is where they're going to start tonight. We got that 700 machine on the front row. Microsoft 27 just to his outside.
It almost looks like a Windows 95 marketing campaign from back in the day.
Yeah, it definitely does. Let's see if these guys are... We're waiting on one driver here.
And the one thing I have to keep in mind, we're not going the distance. This is going to be like a heat race. That field now begins to roll behind the Iracing.com pace car. 16 laps the distance. Going to be a quick one, almost like a modified Budweiser shootout.
Yeah, 16 laps is going to go relatively quick here, and then they will, like I said, they'll restack them, swap or invert the top 10, and then get back out on track and race for 32 more laps. So we'll see how this all pans out here as they get ready to roll down the backstretch.
Rolling down the backstretch now. Lights are out on the pace car. Mike, it's a brand new season. You have an open history book for the writing. Obviously, momentum is critical in any league, and you know at the end of the day, coming out of here with a W is a great way to kick off the season. You know, that's the best thing about being here at Daytona. If you're in this race, you can win it.
Yeah, everybody starts off at Daytona with a clean slate. They're trying to, get a good start here. But with this series, these plate races are going to be the wild cards. The road courses, I think you're going to see some guys rise to the top. I mean, these guys have been running for 3 seasons, so there are some road course specialists, but everybody, I will believe, has a chance. Otherwise, why would you be running in a road course series here? But that pace car is about ready to make that left-hand turn down pit lane. Matt, why don't you bring us to green?
That pace car is going to pull off down pit road. Smith going to have the button waiting now in the Geico restart zone. Green flag in the air. He's going to put it through the floorboards. And we are live from the World Speed Center of Racing here in Daytona Beach, Florida, as we come up through the H pattern for the first time tonight, Mike.
Yeah, as you get the 44 who had to start on pit lane after not being able to make it to the grid, but that inside line is hooked up and they are pushing forward. The top 4 trucks have cleared that outside row and are trying to figure out which way they want to go here as they are kind of bumping in and out, trying to figure out if they're going to have a little more speed than the guy in front of them.
I'll tell you what, that 60 of Gudger, he had a big-time wiggle going on as he was getting a push from the 91 of Stewart while he was basically welded to the back of Smith. Usually that spells disaster, but they seem to have it settled as it's typical 2x2 racing here at Daytona.
Yeah, it is the usual we see here as Aaron Smith is leading and Steve Loving has got that outside line back under control, and they are pushing side by side for second place right now.
Yeah, that outside line, as soon as it got formed up, and now you see the 4 kind of doing exactly what the 64 did, and they are really formed up on the top. Here comes a big run from the top, being led by the 27 of Loving, as you mentioned, and it's almost just as I say that, the bottom decides to get going, and they surge back ahead. But, Mike, that's going to be the same thing over and over again. Close quarters racing, the biggest wild card now as we go on board with Grudger. I mean, you can't get any more up close than personal than that, Mike. You know, what is this new package in the trucks going to present tonight? I hear this was the biggest change to any single vehicle on the service since it was incepted.
I definitely have to agree with that. We saw these trucks back on a race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway on Tuesday. And Las Vegas, usually you can just hold it wide open, not really worry about anything. And you actually had to, the drivers were complaining a little bit because you had to brake and actually drive the truck around the track. So it is going to be a little bit different for these guys coming around Daytona, but same relative principle here.
Well, I'll tell you what, the 24 machine of Bali there, it looked like he got a bad push, and luckily there was a spot in the bottom lane he was able to tuck into. Talk about catching a gift here early. If that was me out there, I would have been in the fence.
Yeah, that is one thing about the close quarter racing that Daytona brings, is you have got to sometimes be better lucky than good here, as that 4 Toyota is just all over the rear bumper of Steve Loving, and they are almost side by side for the lead once again.
Yeah, they're definitely just about door-to-door, side-by-side. John Force Special coming down to the start-finish line. Place your bets on who's going to lead this lap, and I believe it was the 27 by 100th, if that, Mike. And what I'm seeing so far, it looks like you really have to be locked on to the truck in front of you if you want to have that that peak speed wound up in these lanes before you could hang off the back just a little bit. But I mean, on the bottom and top lane right now, in order to surge ahead, you literally have to be stuck. As we see a lane change, the 27 slid it down to the bottom, Mike. I got nervous. I didn't know if he had enough room to clear the 70, but he did.
Yeah, he slid down right in front of Aaron Smith. Speaking of Aaron Smith, from the notes we got from the league, he only showed up for the final 2 races of last season, and they're saying that he blew the doors off the field, so he seems to be one of the guys that some of these other drivers are gunning for here, as we are basically going to be 10 to go this next time by. And like we said, it's going to be pretty quick here.
Yeah, these laps sure go by quickly when you're out there under green flag conditions running sub 47 lap times. Mike, these guys are absolutely flying. And now we see the first single file action of the race. The first 3 trucks. Oh, hold on now. That was almost a diamond formation, as Dave Regal would call it, and that usually spells disaster. They got it situated, and just as soon as I say we're single file at the front, we're back to side-by-side Noah's Ark all over again.
Yeah, Steve Loving threw a block on the 700 machine of Aaron Smith, and Smith tried to go to the middle and tried to figure out where he was going to go. He was able to get to that outside. Steve Loving went down to the inside and is leading the inside row. Aaron Smith leading the outside, and they are battling out hot and heavy here with 10 to go.
Yeah, great situational awareness there between Loving and Smith, as you were talking about. You know, you only have split seconds here to react, and both those drivers seem to know exactly where to put those trucks to keep them safely in the positions out here at front, which they are. Now the 27 Loving still continues to lead on the bottom, getting some great help from that Kellogg's machine in P2. That's going to be Molitor in that 4 machine. Excuse me, he's going to be on the high side of the racetrack. We changed for position now. 700 Smith back to the front, getting help from the 27 of Loving, as these guys are really starting to dice it up as these laps start to wind down.
Yeah, it looks like they were thinking about trying to go single file again, but the 700 and the 27, Loving and Smith, just are not giving in to each other. Both of them are trying to lead this group and win this little sprint race here we have at the beginning.
You know, perhaps they know something that we don't. You know, maybe, you know, it's hard to get the lead, you know, with this new package. You can see just how hard they're battling up front. They do not want to run single file, to your point. They are side by side and leaning on each other like it's the last lap at Daytona. And I know it's a heat race, but we've seen this ever since the drop of the green flag. The 4 of Molitor doing the jig again as a potential push almost gone wrong. And now we start to see some of these guys that were in the back, Mike, working their way to the front, like is that Hobcha in the 7 machine? If I butchered that, I do apologize. But now he is starting to make his way forward, starting to gain positions out there on the racetrack. Biggest mover, though, is going to be in that 13th place position. Jay Bast up 7 spots from where he started, Mike.
Yeah, and as you speak of him, he is in the middle, 3 wide. That was going to be tight there with the 52 of Johnny Rapp. Rapp was up on the high side trying to get around and just couldn't quite do it, as they are still battling 2 by 2 by 2. Around Daytona they go.
Yeah, 2 by 2. Last thing you want to do is leave a gap, and that's kind of what the situation is right now for the 1 machine of Benson Weaver. That can allow someone from the top lane to slot right in, and that can make a difference. We got a truck in the wall there. The 53 Bast goes up the track. Little self-inflicted concrete poisoning there, but no harm, no foul. Gets it back under him, and we stay green. We're really starting to spice things up here, Mike. This is starting to look like a qualifying race, even at Daytona.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking here. We got the 29 almost pushing it 3 wide. You had Jay Bast also doing it. Johnny Rapp was looking to go almost 3 wide. And these guys are side drafting like crazy. As they come through the corner, you can just see them leaning on each other.
Yeah, clearly these competitors know how to plate race, because you don't run this many laps racing that hard. Big time move there. I believe that was the 700 of Smith. He's going to go from the 2nd position in the bottom lane, and he's going to send it to the top shelf where Mama hides the cookies. Now he's going for the lead with the help from Loving.
Yeah, Aaron Smith had a huge run coming down the front stretch there and just basically jerked the wheel to the right, pulled out, and kind of just let Steve Loving come and give him a little push there. They're 3 wide back here again.
Yeah, the hornet's nest is brewing right. These guys are good, Mike. The 67 contact.
Triple 8s into the wall, Paul kick.
That's exactly what happened. He got kicked right out of line there. I don't think that was intentional, but nonetheless, that's going to cost him a ton of momentum and positions. Hopefully he can hold on to the draft. as we are now just 4 laps to go. There's a truck down there on the apron. He was catching air as he had the 2 front tires off the ground. I think that was the 45 of Winslow.
44 of Mark
44.
Royce laps down, but 4 laps to go here. 3 when they get to the line.
It's probably the biggest advantage we've seen with any lane so far this race. The 70 of Smith has about a full truck advantage, but you can see that outside lane starting to form up, or at least trying to. What the 67 or the 64 of Grudger, I'm sorry, gets too high, and that's going to cost him a ton of spots as he is sailing backwards, side drafting for his life. The bottom lane, they stay the most committed, and I think that's where the winner potentially could come from, is the 4 of Molitor has been absolutely mated to the back of Smith.
Yeah, we've seen several of these guys. I think it's going to be between the top 4 running right now. Wouldn't surprise me if Loving comes up there. Wiseman also kind of hanging back, biding time here as they're 3 wide.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we do have an incident here on the final lap, if that warrants overtime, or do we score the field at the moment of caution? Something we're going to have to find out. But, man, they got these crazy trains with the full-blown afterburner lit. The 27 Loving going up against Smith on the bottom. Then you have the 84 of Wiseman on the top shelf. And here comes Molitor. He has really got it now circled and dialed the bead on the 700 of Smith. Who's it going to be at the line? White flag going to be in the air this time by.
White flag in the air, 3 wide. Back in 7th, 8th, 9th. And it is getting tight back there, but also tightening up front. You got Smith, Molitor, Loving. And don't count out the 5 of Robert Brobst.
Oh, is that the 27 got hung out in the sucker hole? Now that's going to basically open the door for the 70 of Smith. Again, help from Molitor. I don't think you're going to separate those two. They
4 wide, bouncing
oh
off of each other. They keep it together, and we are still green, coming to the checkered flag here. And it looks like Smith is going to win the race there. But the man who's going to start on the pole after they restack him here, I believe, is going to be Brandon Brush here as he finishes P10.
Right, remember, they're going to invert the field here, pulling a page out of the old All-Star rules. If I remember correctly, they're going to invert the field. But, Mike, let's talk about that racing up front for a second. I mean, we've seen 3 wide, 4 wide, and no one's in the fence. That is absolutely incredible. And how about Smith getting the W here? But really, that couldn't have been accomplished, I don't think, without all the help and dedicated support from Molitor, as he did not leave his side, or I should say back of his truck, virtually the last 7 or 8 laps.
Looks like they're going to do a little quick warm-up here. Let's see if we can maybe... Let's see if we can talk to Aaron real quick. I'll let you talk to him, Matt.
10-4. Aaron Smith, Matt and Mike up in the booth. You got a copy, bud?
Yeah, I've got you.
Well, hey, man, I see you're from Hollywood, South Carolina, and you look like you were putting on a show out there tonight. Talk to me about this new truck update in the drafting package. It seemed like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, there seems to be a little more rhyme there at the rhyme and reason there with the package. It certainly feels a lot better. I certainly don't remember it getting up to 200 there on the straightaways like we were in the race, but yeah, this next race should be pretty fun.
Yeah, you guys have putting on a heck of a show. I don't know if you caught the 4 wide in your rear view mirror on the final lap, but that had us in the book up here in the booth standing up. So obviously you won the race, but you couldn't have done that without the help from the 4. How critical is having good help in this race, you think, going to play out?
Yeah, Brian gave me a great bump. We were pushing really good speeds there on the backstretch, and we were putting down some record lap times. So, yeah, a good push is certainly pivotal in finishing well in these races. It looked like the 27 was going to get a good run on the outside, but it looked like he lost all of his help too. So, yeah, it certainly plays a pretty big factor there.
Yeah, he got hung out to dry and got caught in the sucker hole there, and kind of just a Daytona deal. But nonetheless, congratulations. Way to start things off. Look forward to watching you throughout the course of the night in the 700 machine.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate you stopping up here in the booth. And Mike, you heard him. Record, I can't even talk right now. I'm so fired up. Record pace in these trucks so far throughout the first qualifying race.
Yeah, definitely. We saw them work together, which makes you wonder what's going to happen once that once the script gets flipped here and you're actually racing more for a race win than anything else here. As you see the 91 take a little bus stop there at Daytona.
Yeah, just trying to get a jump on the rest of the competition, seeing how that new package handles out there on the road course side of things.
But yeah, seeing these guys battle, go 4 wide, bump each other, and still stay green is just, I mean, it's really amazing the way they were able to do that. They're going to roll around here for a couple minutes, then they're going to get stacked up, ready to roll, and turn them loose once again here. Yep, warm-up is finished, so we will get restacked for the race. Once again, this is the Palm Rack Golf Truck Series. Just remember that life's really not that complicated, and neither should it be when it comes for looking for golf clothes that fit your lifestyle. Palm Rack Golf is designed to allow you to move seamlessly from the office to the fairway to hanging out with friends and family. Visit palmrackgolf.com today to browse their collection of fine golf apparel, including polos, pullovers, pants, and more. So thank them for the sponsorship. As always, couldn't do without them.
Yeah, cannot do it with all the great sponsors behind the scene that obviously make these broadcasts and great series possible. As Mike said, get ready to rock and roll here. Is that field now getting ready to grid up and starting P1 in this qualifying race. Brandon Brush, as you said, Mike, he's came home 10th. He's going to invert here to P1 in the 41. Outside of him from New Jersey in the 67, Nick Shariff in third. Dustin Bailey in the 24 machine. Outside of him, Steve Loving in the 27 ride. Rounding out your top 5, Peter D. Stewart in 91. Outside of him, sliding in the 6th place position, Johnny Rapp. 7th belongs to Laura Wiseman. She'll be rocking the 84 machine. And outside of her, Robert Probus in the 5 ride. Brian Molitor slots in 9th. And running out your top 10, Mike, is Aaron Smith in the 700.
And when you roll on back to P11 with Michael Gudger, Dan Ott in P12. Then you got Jay Fast, Chris Winslow in row 7, row 8, Devin Jack and Evan Hubashak, Benson Weaver and Derek Bequay, maybe. In row 9, row 10, Tom Went, Phil Keck, Chuck Labano, and Mark Royce round out the field.
Yeah, so Mark Royce is going to start shotgun here. Brandon Brush going to have the pole position. That 67 Bass Pro truck. He's going to have a ton of fresh air to work with here this time on this restart. Do we see similar trends here to the trucks that start up front, finish up front, or do we see someone deeper in the field like Benson Weaver, who starts 17th, able to dip, dive, duck, and dodge his way to the point when all is said and done? 32 laps the distance this time, Mike, as those lights are out on the pace car.
And pace car makes that hard left-hand turn. Brandon Brush with the button as they hit that Geico restart zone, and he is foot to the floor, and we are green for race time here in the Palm Rack Golf Truck Series.
Well, I hope you got your club secured in the back of these hot rods, because those glorious V8s are roaring back to life once again. No, picking right up where he left off. There's the 27 of Loving, somehow finding himself in the top 2 positions already, and he is glued onto the back of that Bass Pro sponsored machine, Mike.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe him losing the draft and finishing in the back half of that top 10 is going to help him out as he is back up front where he wants to be, leading that outside line as Nick Saraf is going to lead the inside line. Side by side they go.
Side by side at over 190 miles an hour. This new truck update has added some extra zest to these machines because they are really flying out here in under the lights optimal conditions, as you see now with the onboard telemetry. Sarah, 193 miles an hour before entry on the corner, and Mike, I bet you those speeds go up more than that, as the 27 still has a stronghold on the outside lane, getting a big time push from the 52.
Yeah, the 27 is just where he wants to be. And you have Johnny Rapp, a guy that I believe we've seen racing, looks like a few times. I haven't seen him for a little while here, but he definitely knows how to race. I believe he was part of the Super Speedway series we used to call.
That's where I remember the name from, Mike. You hit the nail on the head. And here we go. We got 2-on-2 action. You have a Toyota leading the outside lane with on Chevrolet on the bottom. 2 Chevrolets pushing the bottom, and then you have a Toyota and a Chevrolet on the outside lane. 2 by 2, they run door to door, just inches off of each other. And Mike, we are racked and stacked virtually the whole way through the field. At the line last time by, less than a half a second separated the entire field.
I mean, you're talking just over 47-second lap times. 27 to Steve Loving has got to try and defend here, as he was almost stuck in the sucker hole one more time. Like Johnny Rapp kind of went the wrong way there.
In fact, Mike, you're not going to believe this. Johnny Rapp last lap had a top speed of 203 miles an hour in a truck. This is absolutely wild.
Yeah, they definitely must have jacked up the horsepower, because these guys are definitely, seems like they're having to lift a little bit more than you would think they were normally, as we have a Valvoline machine. Laura Wiseman down out of the draft, going to lose a lot of positions here as the 64 gets bounced around, one into the wall. They stay green, but oh,
there it goes.
In front of them.
Mike, I was going to say I had to get the jaw jacker to pick my mouth off the floor. And unfortunately, at the very end, shots were fired and carnage on the racetrack, as that was almost one of the greatest saves in iRacing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, let's see. It looks like it went off in front here with Johnny Rapp, maybe. But let's take a look. From the chopper cam here. Oh. Yeah, that 52 machine just gets loose. Maybe a little bit of a bad bump there. Gets the 5, the 700 involved. The 45, the 49. And this all is happening as we're watching Laura Wiseman lose the draft, get bumped out, and save it, and all the drivers behind her save it, but just in front just was not able to do anything about that.
Yeah, it's crazy how these Daytona deals happen. It started right up front where it looked like the 27 got a push.
Yeah,
just as the
bit.
Yep. The third car in line cannot push the pusher, and it looks like they timed it perfectly as they made contact at the same time. That kicked the 52 out of sorts, and that's where the wick was lit. And then obviously with the checkup and everyone else trying to, obviously manage gaps and make sure they have room, I think that's why Laura Wiseman got knocked down off the racing surface onto the flats, and it just kind of went kaboom behind them. There's multiple trucks involved. first caution for incident on the evening as we're now working lap 6 as Seraph continues to lead in that Bass Pro Martin Truex Jr. Tribute paint scheme on that truck, and I love watching that thing out there. It looks fantastic.
Yeah. He's the only driver that didn't come to pit lane. For what it's
You know
worth.
what that tells me? That truck's driving really good.
But he's probably one of the only drivers that weren't involved in the
Affected.
incident at all.
Try to pull a cue from Darrell Waltrip here. Let's not talk about the wreck. We're just talking about his truck and pump him up a little bit. But I'll tell you what, that 27 has been putting on a show. You know, to your point, he almost got caught in the wormhole again, but was able to get it in line just in time. Steve Loving, the Virginia native, in that Toyota. And I got to ask him, that has to be a Windows 95 or Windows 98 throwback scheme.
That has to be.
Good looking paint scheme on that truck. And just as you say, he does. Here he comes down pit road.
You know, that happens more often than not.
It happens a lot.
I know. You're like, oh, they're staying out. They must like it. And then all of a sudden, nope. I mean, they do have 75% fuel load, so I would have thought it would have been pretty close to making it to the end.
Yeah, especially with the caution here, I would think you would have enough go fast in the tank to make it the distance. But then again, new package, a lot of new updates. I haven't turned any laps in this truck, so, you know, they would know a lot better than we would at this point. As once again, lights go out on the pace car. Gonna get the deck shuffled as we get ready to go back to green flag racing right here on SRM. Loving's gonna slot on the bottom. He's gonna have the trigger here to go back live. The 41 of Brush is gonna be on the outside. Farthest forward he's been all night tonight. Or excuse me, he actually started on the pole for this race. My apologies. Then you're gonna have Brian Molitor, who was pivotal in helping that 700 machine get his win. Does he do the same? Does he be Mr. Reliable like Talladega Nights, Mr. Shake and Bake? Or does he try and get a victory here for himself? Only time will tell. So we're now wrapping through the 3 and 4 complex. Gonna wait for that pace car to make that turn down pit road. Gonna have to tighten things up here about from 7th, 8th place on back as we get ready for this restart. Again, remember at home, folks, energy from these lines on these restarts, and the best way to get that energy, being packed nice and tight, nose to tail, as we await the Geico restart zone. Gonna go on the flagman this time. Little restart strategery here, and oh no, the 41, Mike may have jumped too far out in front, but Loving comes up top to save him.
That was going to be close there.
Or Weaver, excuse me. I mean, he took off like everyone else was on the snooze button, and any other racetrack outside of Talladega or Daytona, that would have been great. But if the one comes up, jumps in line, because I think that could have ended badly, as I think they would have had one heck of a run by the time they got to him.
Yeah, he would have wound up in that sucker hole pretty quick if the one wouldn't have jumped up there. As you see the 53 of Jay Bast up there almost on the high line, as high as you can run, trying to stick his nose into that third row. Nothing doing there as Brandon Brush goes down to the inside, jumps in front of Loving.
Yeah, Brush is sweeping from one line to another. And folks at home, that is easier said than done. You have to have a lot of confidence and a lot of faith in the drivers around you to make that happen. As now the inside lane gets a little bit of surge of energy, and they are going to, well, they almost looked like they were going to get ahead, but that top three trucks are really formed up very well now. And here comes the speed on the high side of the racetrack. Weaver should have the lead coming into 3. And he doesn't.
Now that outside line, they can't quite all get on the same groove. As you can see that kind of accordion effect as they come through the front stretch here. Whereas the first 3 trucks on the bottom side were pretty lined up, but now you have Weaver and Bali, and they were working fairly well together as Bali goes clear up almost to the wall.
Yeah, I thought maybe Brush was thinking about putting a move on him, but they get back in line as Weaver continues to lead. And Mike, look at how tight they are packed on top of each other. I mean, these trucks really have to get, literally have to be on top of one another, it seems, to really get the benefit of the drafter being in a line. And when they do, you see the afterburner come on. One lane able to surge ahead of the other, but as soon as they separate, it doesn't look like they're able to carry the momentum for as long as they used to be able to with the truck of old.
Yeah, it definitely seems like once they get hooked up, that momentum, you see a huge jump in horsepower, or speed anyway, and then you kind of, as soon as they get spread out like they are now, that inside line just comes right back on them.
Yeah, it's like the energy just dissipates a lot quicker. Is now the one Weaver getting a massive shot from the 24 of Brawley, or Bali, excuse me. And that's what it seems it takes to either, clear the lead car or at least put you ahead by a fender here. And it is hard to push that hard, especially in the corner when these trucks are loaded up. These drivers are doing a great job as here comes Weaver back on the bottom, getting a lot of help from the 24 of Bali once again.
Yeah, on board here with that 24 Toyota. Getting close. That is one place you don't want to get a bump there, is on corner exit or corner entry.
Yeah, the 41 almost got pushed below the double yellow line there. The 27 had the breathing room, lifts a little bit, lets him get back in line. Probably the most separation we've seen since the drop of the green flag here on the bottom. That should allow the high side to prevail, and it does. Here comes Weaver with the help from Brush.
Still side by side. Nobody's giving any ground here. As Loving and Bali almost go side by side in that side draft action, working in the 346 there. Running P8 is seems to have a little bit of momentum, just nowhere really to go, as he does not want to push that 53 machine either at the moment. We saw what happened earlier if you push the pusher.
Yeah, that's really what kicked off our only incident for caution on the racetrack. And I'll tell you what, Chuck Labano seems to know how to get through the field. Once again, he's one of the biggest movers of the race. In fact, he is now up 14 positions. Excuse me, now 13 as timing and scoring updates. But nonetheless, that 346 knows how to gain some spots out here, as we're virtually Noah's Ark from the front of this thing all the way to the back, is we're not inside 10 laps to go. Actually, we are inside 10 laps to go. Is now 3 wide, Mike, the 91 machine. Stewart caught in the sucker hole as there's a top shelf starting to form, and that's being led by the 64 of Gudger.
Yeah, you got the LSU Tigers machine up on the high side. 3 wide, trying to make something work. Laura Wiseman behind him, giving him a push. That 91 is still stuck in the middle.
Not where he wants to be, I can guarantee you of that, especially with the high lane. I'm trying to form another lane right up there against the wall. And this is right on cue as we're now working lap 15 of 32. About half the distance chewed out of this thing, and this is where we saw the energy start to pick up in the first
Oh,
heat race.
there goes Plano right in front of the 64 machine of Gudger and Wiseman.
Ouch.
That is not what you wanted to see here.
Well, I hope they didn't have any dinner plans.
Let's see if we can see what happened with that 346 machine here.
We're sitting right here, the calm before the storm. I just mentioned the energy starting to pick up on track. I think this is a result of a 3-wide. Yep, exactly what it is. What a violent impact.
Almost rolls that 346. 84, 45.
And then from there, it's pinball at almost 200 miles an hour as everyone's having a meeting of the minds, and it turns into a junkyard for the truck series as parts are literally falling all over the place as we go on board now with Grudger in the 64. You're going to see the 64 come up a little bit. He comes down, and he is going to hook him. Right there. And the truck hits so hard, it jumps up in the air, Mike.
Two trucks in the air. The 91 caught a little air as well.
Yeah, Stewart took a truck literally to the face. You want to talk about the calm before the storm. I mean, these guys basically have ran a flawless race, and then all of a sudden you blink and you get struck by lightning and there's carnage everywhere. This is going to make things interesting now. Do you come down pit road? Do they have enough fuel? We've seen some trucks early on decide to come down pit road for fuel-only stops.
Let's see. It looks like the top 12 did not come down pit lane.
So from Dan Ott on back in the 29. Interesting.
Let's see. Where are we at? We still have 19 trucks on the lead lap.
Yeah, so Johnny Rapp, the 52 machine, is being the last truck scored on the lead lap. Chuck Labano, Phil Keck, Nick Sarif, they are one or more laps down. Lights go out on the pace truck. That means we're going back green flag racing next time by. Rush continues to lead.
15 to go, so we will get a little sprint race action going once again here. Saw what they did with their 16 lap sprint earlier, so see what they can do here.
Yeah, this should be the equivalent of uncorking a howitzer right off the green flag. It should get hot and bothered. Whatever we'll see any. Go ahead, sorry.
I would say Shane Lake checking in on the YouTube chat as always.
Got to appreciate the dog father, always showing up, saying hi. As he was on a broadcast earlier with Dave Regal, Racers Elite. They put on a great show.
Championship race for the Next Gen Cup Series.
Do we see 4 wide again, Mike? That's what I want to know.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say
And does
yes,
the
because these guys have done it multiple times. So
Yeah, they almost make it look too easy. Does Steve Loving get shoveled out again, put in the sucker hole, or does he contend for the win? I think that 27 Microsoft machine does. That Tundra's got a lot of speed in it as he restarts in that 3rd place position on the bottom. You know, when you're out there going over 200 miles an hour in these trucks, this crawling pace speed is now we finally get rid of the pace car in the Geico restart zone. Brush, gonna try to snooker him just a little bit, but you don't want to jump out too far. Does the one jump down in front of the 27? He does not. He stays committed on the high side with Bally.
41 jumps up, tries to block the one. The 27 gets a huge run on the bottom. Loving to the lead.
Oh, the 27's gonna party like it's 1999, Mike. He's got the lead on the bottom, and look who's pushing him. Deja vu all over again. Here comes Molitor. Gonna help him surge ahead. Probably the biggest lead we've seen for anyone out in front. Oh, is I believe that was who was that doing the jig in there in the one machine? Benson Weaver almost got a little slideways there. Big time move from the 4 as he gets a run. He's going to lead the outside lane as we go down the backstretch.
He's going to go to the high side, and then you have Robert Bropes decides to push the 27 and is all over that back bumper, giving him a hard shove as they come down the backstretch here. 4 jumps down in front of the 27, and here we go one more time.
Here we go one more time. We're going to do the dance again. Now Molitor out in front. He's getting big-time pushes from the 27 of Loving. Mike, this reminds me almost of the car of tomorrow, not the tandem drafting, but how hard these guys just have to push each other in order to get peak performance out of these race trucks. This is a new animal they're restrictor plate racing here tonight. Brian Molitor continues to have the right sauce to lead on the bottom. 201 miles an hour that time by at the line. Here comes Brush. He's got momentum. He's got 3 trucks up top. He's got Benson Weaver behind him as well in that one machine.
Yeah, Dustin Bally also back there as well. That inside line has been working really well together. They were racing earlier in the 16-lap heat race. Up here, the only driver that's missing from that is the 700, who is stuck back in 14th position right now, and that is Aaron Smith.
Johnny Rapp hits fast lap of the race at a 46.13 in a truck. I don't believe what my eyes are telling me yet. Big time push there from the 27, and he is up close and personal in the business end of the 4. But that's what you need to do if you want to lead here at Daytona.
Yeah, we saw it over and over again. You have to get within a paper's width of that rear bumper in order to make any headway, or you're going backwards, as that outside line is still not formed up as they are bouncing all over, trying to figure out what line they want to be in here.
I'll tell you what, if you're not comfortable being pushed all the way around a racetrack, start running some truck races, because you will have to in order to be competitive. Oh! The one almost got put into the fence. I don't know how he kept it off the wall or kept it in line. That was a big-time moment there for Benson Weaver. That was the don't stain your ride, use tide moment of the race for sure for him. Big time side draft there. I mean, they're side drafting all over the place in this thing, like at the front, the middle, the back, you name it.
Yeah, 9 laps to go. Nobody's pulling any punches here tonight. As we see Mark Royce up here in 7th spot. Had to start shotgun on the field after basically missing the start in that sprint race. But they are definitely working on something as he is up 17 spots, running 3rd in the high line right now.
Yeah, 3rd in the high line. Where did he come from? I mean, this guy reminds me of Kevin Harvick from back in the day, but nonetheless, he is going to be a factor in this race before all is said and done. Another big-time line block there, line move at the front. Brandon Brush decided it was time to go back to the bottom. Benson Weaver now leads the outside lane. And Mike, I'm getting a note here from our graphics team. Are we still showing instant replay live? Okay. I'll let them know that. But we always want to thank the people for tuning in, letting us know what they're seeing, even if they're wrong sometimes. As the 41 of Brush continues to MacGyver his way at the front of this field to keep the lead. And just as I say that, Moulter has other ideas.
Yeah, Moulter, he's been up front most of the time, just trying to figure out where he wants to be as they're 3 wide back behind him. Bali stuck in the middle, as is the 52 of Johnny Rapp. Nobody wants to be there, but that is where they find themselves, so they go down the backstretch.
You know, and I think that's one of the problems with the middle as a driver. Once you know you are there at Daytona or Talladega, you panic and you try to get out of that spot so bad. Oh, we got problems at the front as Molitor goes around, and we got trucks launching in the air, X Games style. 53 involved, Jay Bast. Obviously, Molitor, who was such a strong truck in the first heat, I thought he was going to have a chance to get a win here. Not the case, is that Toyota is bruised and battered.
Now let's go back and take a look, see what happened here.
I think it was just a bad push.
Yeah, that's usually what winds up happening, especially now with the update. Yeah, so you see the run here. One machine. The 4 slides up just a little bit, gets a little bit of a bad push there from the 1. And that's going to take out. Ooh, looks like the 27 might have avoided it. The 5. 700 might have avoided it as well. So
Tell you what a drive there from Johnny Rapp getting through that mess. I mean, he had those tires locked up a couple different times, knew to jump off the binder so he could drive it. He found his way through that, but others not so lucky. Is Mike, I know we say a lot, but that's just Daytona doing Daytona things right there.
yeah, especially when you're talking, you know, how hard you have to push. We have a Refused B said that the update increased the speed but made it more loose into and out of the corner. Dirty air has drastically increased as well. So definitely what we're seeing here tonight as these guys are looking to kind of adjust to that as well.
I mean, we saw that. I mean, everything was calm, stable at the front, and just a little bit of a movement there, you know, from that, from Molitor. It just got that push from OK to, the warning bell is going off, immediately spun that truck sideways out of nowhere. He probably didn't even know what happened before, he probably didn't even know what happened before it was too late.
Yeah.
Because we have the big one at the front here, Mike, with now just 5 laps remaining on the scoreboard. But by the time we go back green, we're going to be less than 4 to go.
Yeah, it will definitely be a shootout to the end here. Benson Weaver in that one machine is the biggest mover of the race right now, up 15 spots.
Very impressive from Benson Weaver. I'm worried about that crinkle on the bed on the side of that one machine. We'll have to see how much that impacts the performance on that Toyota. As we go on board to the GoPro cam, you can see that minor damage on the side of his race truck, just behind the the driver's area where the window net would be, is he's now going to come down pit road. Tough break there for Benson Weaver, as he had excellent track position and was a big part of the conversation.
Yeah, so we're going to get 3 to go here. And it looks like Benson Weaver just is going to wind up basically have to go down pit lane and get back out on the track here. Start at the tail end of the field.
You know what this is going to do, Mike? This is going to open up the party like it's 1995 with the 27 Loving being on the front row. He was so strong that first heat race, just kind of got swallowed up there with a, kind of got put in a bad spot, if you ask me. Someone kind of left him out to dry. But hey, that's the beauty of heat racing, right? One doesn't go your way, you get to reset, do it all over again. And here he is, P1. I think he's actually going to be P2. He's going to be P1 on the outside row, excuse me there. Then you're going to have the 5 of Robost, or they're in third.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rose.
That's 4 laps to go. 3 once they take that green flag. They are definitely going to be locked and loaded, and we saw already how much momentum they tend to get in these trucks. The aggression level is going to be cranked up to 11 here as they get ready to roll. Pace car is in. Brandon Brush with the button as he hits that Geico restart zone, and he is not quite down and away as fast as he was earlier. Maybe he learned a thing or two there for a little bit here, but Probst is staying with him. 27 of Loving on the high side.
Yeah, the 27 of Loving on the high side. He had a ton of help there from Gudger, and I can't believe that they didn't shoot out to the lead there. I mean, they were hooked up from the restart. There was a lot of separation there on the
bounce
bottom.
Off of each other, 3 wide. Looks like Bali got stuck in the almost in the middle and got shoved down the track, but he is back on the lead, or on the track here. Is Dan Ott stuck in the middle now.
Yeah, Dan Ott almost had a woulda, coulda, shoulda moment there. Are they trying to come up the middle? They are. I can't believe what I'm seeing right now. That was some of the boldest plate racing I have ever seen. Is typically you avoid the sucker hole. You don't put yourself there. Here comes Loving. Go ahead.
I was saying the 700 just went to the inside, made it 3 wide there, and he is up to P10 now.
Yeah, so Smith, who was basically a non-factor most of this race, big time. Oh, there they go, Mike. I saw that one coming. The 5's off into the dirt. The 27, no.
Oh, the 27 caught some air, too.
Big time air.
It's the whole thing we talked about earlier, the whole pushing the pusher.
And, you know, for you folks at home, and you sit there and say, well, why don't just not do that? It's hard to see. You know, you can't see all the way to the truck in front. So you kind of have, it's a guessing game. Is they have the meeting of the minds there, the whole Three Stooges effect, and then the 27 just gets turned into a lawn dart as he gets pile driven multiple times. And the 52 once again of Johnny Rapp gets caught up in it. He was on a recovery drive. That's going to spoil his plans. Go back to it one more time from the chopper.
It's the same thing we see. You know, you don't know that it's happening, but with the momentum that you get from being pushed as hard as they have to push in order to, you know, get any sort of reaction, that is just what seems to happen. We've seen it a few times here already, and now we have basically a new set of drivers on the front row.
Yeah, we haven't seen these drivers up thus far. At all tonight. You know, we have Bally there in the 24, going to start second. Ott, the 29, third. Hoopcha in fourth. Stewart in fifth. There's one name, though, we do know, Mike, and that's the 700 of Smith. And suddenly, he's inside the top 5.
Yeah, he's inside the top 5 after winning the heat race. They inverted. He started in the 10th spot. Now he has battled his way back inside that top 5. He does have a little bit of damage on that ride there, but will it be enough to dampen his chances here?
Well, will it be enough to dampen his chances, or is it just what the doctor ordered? Hey, that's Talladega or Daytona. That's plate racing. And quite frankly, that's why you're along for the ride with us right here on SRM. The only way to find out, you got to stick around here to the finish, folks. Make sure you got grandma strapped in with plenty of kernel-free popcorn, because it's about to get rowdy here. Friday night short track style. We've seen 3 wide at times, Mike. We've seen 4 wide. Do we see it pass in the grass while they're 4 wide coming to the line? We don't know. But these drivers are certainly capable of doing it. We know that.
Yeah, we've seen 4 wide a few times, and what's kind of sad, or whatever you want to call it, is the 4 wide is not really what has caused any of our cautions tonight.
No. They've made the 3 and 4 wide stuff, which typically produces the big ones, look like a walk in the park. It's been the pushing of the pusher or the ill-timed pushing when 3 trucks come together that squirts one out of the hot dog bun, and that's what's kicked off all the mayhem.
Yeah, so we are going to be under the green-white checker rules, looks like, for overtime here.
Well, if you didn't want to throw any more E85 on the fire, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to get you maximum impact right here. Overtime, green, white, checkered. So, folks at home, this is how it's going to happen. We're going to re-rack them, restack them. We're going to take the white, we're going to take the green flag. If they complete that entire lap without incident, they're going to come around and take the white flag. Once the white flag is in the air, that's it. Game over. We are going to race all the way back to the checkered flag. Should a caution or incident come out on the white flag, the field will be frozen and scored at the moment of caution. But we are going to race all the way back to the checkered flag. At that line, then the winner will obviously be whoever crosses the stripe first, Mike. Do you know how many chances or attempts we get at a green, white, checkered by chance?
I do not. Let me take a look real quick.
Taking a peek as well here. Because you know how Daytona is. Sometimes one just isn't enough.
They are stacked up here. Looks like they're gonna try and get a little bit closer here on this restart. Looks like that outside line needs to get stacked back up a little bit better. Looks like one green white checker.
One and done here. Into the Geico restart zone for overtime. Green flag back in the air in the 89th. Nails the restart. Ott and Bali, the Smith in the 700 machine, now up to 4th.
It looks like Bali's kind of left out there all by himself, as nobody's went to that high line, and we are under caution already.
Well, that's going to be the 5th caution just as we get going. And yeah, Baldy got left out like the redheaded stepchild. I mean, no one wanted anything to do with him.
And if I'm not mistaken, that is going to be it for the races. I don't believe it'll reset here. We'll see real quick here. See what happened.
Does Paquette come up and steal one?
Let's take a look at this replay and see what brought out the caution. Oh, back of the field to 27.
7.
Yep, final lap of the race.
And Mike, how many times have we seen this at Daytona?
More times than I want to count.
How about it? Paquette gonna get the win here. Ott's gonna get credited with 2nd. 2 drivers that we, quite frankly, really didn't mention anything about. They weren't up here at the front until that last big caution came out. It put them in the right track position, and Derek's gonna get the dub here in heat number 2. Unbelievable.
You know, like we said at Daytona, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Right. And you know what, Mike, you know what I'm about to say. A win's a win. Doesn't matter how you get it sometimes. I don't know if that was extracurricular activity, but the 91 is in the fence, literally. Up 17 positions from where he started too, I might add. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And that's exactly what Paquette did there. He called it right, put his truck in the right place at the right time. Green, white, checkered, overtime rules, and everything is right with the world in the 89 camp. There you go. A little slideways drift action going on. He's going to burn it down there on the backstretch.
Definitely gonna park that 89 somewhere.
Going to get the rest of the good out of those good years.
See if we can start with 3rd place. I'll let you talk to Aaron again.
Aaron Smith, Matt, and Mike up in the Tony Trapassa Memorial broadcast booth. You got me, bud. And we'll try it one more time. Aaron, Matt, and Mike up in the booth. You got us.
Yeah, I've got you. Sorry. Took me a
Hey,
minute there.
Hey, not a problem, man. Sometimes it takes me a minute after I get done out there doing some super speedway racing myself. So, hey, man, you get the dub in the first heat race. You get shuffled to the back there. How did you get positioned to put this truck inside the podium? I mean, it seemed just a couple laps before, those cautions unfolded, you might have been on the outside looking in, but yet here you are.
Yeah, after that last wreck, I thought I'd go in and get my truck fixed, but I had a second thought and stayed out there. I had a feeling we'd have a pretty quick caution there to end the race, and unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I was right, and I was able to bring it home third. I didn't have a clean corner left on that truck. I don't know if I would have stayed up there if it had gone green, but it was pretty good up until then.
Yeah, that was my next question. I noticed you were in the Hornets nest a lot that second heat race. Obviously, you mentioned not a clean corner. How did that truck perform, even with the damage on it? It seemed like you still had some pretty good speed in that thing.
Yeah, I couldn't tell much of a difference, honestly. Like, there was a bit of extra air on the nose when I got out of line to try to pass somebody, but I feel like if I stayed tucked behind those top two trucks, I would have been able to push one of them to the wind. So, I don't know. It's good data to keep track of here since the new build, but I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next this season.
Absolutely, man. Well, I'd say, hey, it's a job well done here at Daytona tonight as you got yourself a win and a podium finish. Before we cut you loose, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on the 700?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the folks at Palmer at Golf for supporting the league, all the folks at Road and Plate for having me this season, and all the folks for watching. I'm looking forward to getting back at it wherever we are next week. I think it's Red Skogan, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. Looking forward to it.
Well, there he is, ladies and gentlemen, knows how to dominate on the plate side of things as he is the man in Daytona. Aaron Smith get himself a feature win and a podium finish. He comes home third in that final one. Mike, back to the booth, up top to you, bud.
Definitely. Thanks, Matt. All right. Dan, Mike up in the booth, man. How's it going?
Doing pretty good.
Well, you were able to be at the right place at the right time here. Bring home a P2.
Yeah, it was all about survival.
Well, it is Daytona. But you were able to work your way through the field. You're basically looked like you started, let's say, P11 up 10 spots here. So what did you learn in that heat race that was able to help you here in the feature?
Things are a lot faster than they used to be. There was a few times I was almost braking going into the corners, so picked up a lot of speed. It's a lot different than it used to be.
Yeah, since the new build, seeing some stuff change, it looked like you guys had to almost bump draft more than just kind of be in line.
Yeah, it was wild being in the pack there. You'd get a huge run, and then all of a sudden the guys in front of you check up for seemingly no reason. But I think I was technically involved in just about every wreck there, just squeezing by.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of them. You guys have some pretty close quarter action. We were kind of talking up in the booth here that the four wide really wasn't what was causing the cautions. It was basically, pushing the pusher kind of deal that would break off the big ones here. But you were able to basically survive here, get a P2. Anything you want to say before we get you out of here? Is there any sponsors you want to thank?
No sponsors, but thanks to Mark Royce, my teammate, who pushed me towards the end there, and we were working together as much as we could.
Definitely, man. We'll look forward to seeing what you guys can do the rest of the season as we work our way through the next two road courses before we head back to Talladega.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, man.
Good stuff. Thanks, man.
All right, Matt. I will let you talk to the race winner.
Derek, Matt, and Mike up in the booth.
hang
And
on.
before we get started, Derek, Matt, and Mike up in the SRM broadcast booth. You got a copy there, bud.
10-4. I got you both.
Awesome, man. Before we get started, how do I pronounce your last name, sir?
Fike, Derek Fike.
BK. Well, thank you for that. I apologize for butchering it earlier in the race. But man, you are like the Houdini of Daytona. It seemed like just moments ago you were back there fighting for your life. And the next thing you know, you're in victory lane, man. Walk me through that race.
Yeah, I don't even know how I got up front. A little bit of luck, quite a bit of luck. But I don't know. I was hugging the inside line. People started to get pretty spicy and dicey in there. And, it just kind of worked out. There was a few crashes that were right around me. I think it happened twice. And I just got lucky and I avoided it. I just want to apologize to anyone. Like, there was one of those final cautions, and I don't know if I caused that. I haven't watched the replay, but I was trying to push, and next thing I know, someone was getting hooked. So if that was me, just want to say sorry about that. But yeah, no, it was fun.
It was certainly a lot of fun for us up here in the booth as well. I mean, this new package on this truck has certainly, I'll take a word that you use, spice things up. I mean, we're seeing speeds over 200, and actually the second place finisher, Dan Ott, actually said he had to use the brake at times. Were you seeing similar instances out there on the racetrack?
I was trying to really not push too aggressively. My sort of game plan was, just kind of ride around, see where we end up. If I can get a good push on the backstretch, I'll give it a shot. But I just really didn't want to, smash anybody. So I wasn't using the brake too much on that final restart. I did drag the brake. I don't know if everyone was laying up in anticipation of me just zooming away. But I got beat last week in a very similar manner. So I dragged the brake on that restart when I got out a little bit too far. And I don't know if I checked up too much, but worked out.
Hey, I'll say sometimes when the luck is on your side, and it was on your side, man. And at the end of the day, a win's a win. Before we cut you loose, who do you want to thank? Who helps you get it done?
Let's start with just saying, one of my best friends passed away this week. So, Dylan, I loved you, brother. I'm gonna miss you. And you were on board with me tonight, and I felt that. So that was really cool. And I'll never forget you, dog. So, I want to thank my family. I want to thank my girlfriend, my dad, my brother. That's the core, man. It's all about family. So, thanks everybody.
That's right. It's all about family, ones that you keep close to you that help you in times of need. As you mentioned, you had a good friend of yours with you out there on the racetrack tonight. But folks at home, if you're going to Las Vegas on the high stakes tables, hit this guy up on Discord. Bring him with you, as he's got all the luck on his side right now. That is your winner from tonight, driver of the 89, Derek Fike. Mike, back to you, bud.
Definitely, man. As they get race one in the books, let's go over the race results here. So we got Derek Fike, Dan Ott, Aaron Smith, the top three you heard from here. Looks like Evan Hoopchak, Dustin Bali, Jay Bast, Nick Sarif, Brian Molitor, Mark Royce, Johnny Rapp round out that top 10.
And I'll bring you guys the rest of the way home to the finishing results tonight. In 11th, Robert Robost. In 12th, that's going to be Chris Winslow. 13th belongs to Tom Went. 14th, Laura Wiseman, running out your top 15 in the 49. Devin Jack. Slotting in 16th, that's Michael Grudger in the 64 ride. 17th belongs to Peter D. Stewart. 18th, Benson Weaver in the 346, rounding out the field that took the green flag tonight. That's Chuck Lobato. 20th, Steve Loving, who was strong in both heat races. Luck just did not go his way in the 27. Then we're going to have in 21st, Brandon Brush, and rounding out the 22 starters that took the initial green flag tonight in the 888, that is going to be Phil Keck, Mike.
Yeah, I definitely want to thank these guys for jumping on board with us. It was a new experience having a heat race and then inverting the field, and they definitely showed what they can do. I want to invite everybody to join us next week when they are road course racing with these trucks. See what the new update has done to them on the track out there. But anything you want to say before we close it down here, Matt?
Well, certainly want to thank all the fans that tuned in live here on SRM. If you want to take the next step, join the family, smash the like button, ring the bell, come home to 6 nights of high-flying, high-octane action right here on SRM. And to second to what you said, Mike, I cannot wait to see what this new truck package has in store next week as we go from one side of the coin here at the plate tracks to the road courses overseas. If it was anything like tonight, it's going to be some fired up racing action as well.
Yeah, it definitely will. But from all the drivers of the Road and Plate series and all of us here at Sim Racing Media, I want to wish you guys a good night, and we will see you next time.